Shalom, I am Babsi, and today I will be reading from the book of Judges, chapter 6 and chapter 7. Then Bnei Israel did what was evil in Adonai's eyes. So Adonai gave them into the hand of Midian for 7 years. Midian maintained an upper hand over Israel, and because of Midian, Bnei Israel made themselves hideouts in the mountains, caves and strongholds. Whenever Israel had done the sowing, the Midianites, Amalekites, and people from the east would come up and raid them. They would set up camp by them, destroy the produce of the land as far as Gaza, and leave nothing in Israel to live on, not a sheep, ox, or donkey. For they would come up with their cattle and their tents, invade like a multitude of locusts. Both they and their camels were innumerable, and they would come to the land to ruin it. So Israel was brought very low because of Midian. And Bnei Israel cried out to Adonai. Now it came about when Bnei Israel cried out to Adonai because of Midian, that Adonai sent a prophet to Bnei Israel. And he said to them, Thus says Adonai, God of Israel, it was I who brought you up from Egypt and brought you out of the house of bondage. Then I delivered you from the hand of the Egyptians and from the hand of all your oppressors, and drove them out from before you and gave you their land. Then I said to you, I am Adonai your God. You are not to fear the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you are dwelling. But you have not obeyed my voice. Then the angel of Adonai came and sat under the terebinth that was at Ophrah, that belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, while his son Gideon was beating out wheat in the winepress, in order to hide it from the Midianites. Then the angel of Adonai appeared to him and said to him, Adonai is with you, O mighty man of valor. But Gideon said to him, O my Lord, if Adonai is with us, then why has all this befallen us? So where are all his wonders that our fathers told us about, saying, Didn't Adonai bring us up from Egypt? But now Adonai has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian. Then Adonai turned toward him and said, Go in this might of yours and deliver Israel from the hand of Midian. Have not I sent you? Then he said to him, Me, my Lord, with what would I deliver Israel? Look, my family is the poorest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. But Adonai said to him, Surely I will be with you, and you will strike down Midian as if it were one man. Then he said to him, If now I have found favor in your eyes, then please show me a sign that it is really you talking with me. Please don't leave from here until I come to you and bring out my offering and lay it before you. So he said, I will stay until you come back. Then Gideon went in and prepared a kid and matzot from an ephah of flour. He put the meat in a basket and the broth in a pot, and brought them out to him under the terebinth, and presented them. Then the angel of God said to him, Take the meat and the matzah, lay them on this rock, and pour out the broth. So he did so. Then the angel of Adonai put out the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the meat and the matzah. Fire sprang up from the rock and consumed the meat and the matzah. Then the angel of Adonai vanished from his sight. When Gideon realized that he was the angel of Adonai, Gideon said, Alas, my Lord Adonai, for I have seen the angel of Adonai face to face. But Adonai said to him, Shalom to you, fear not, you will not die. So Gideon built an altar there to Adonai and called it Adonai Shalom. To this day it is yet an Ophrah of the Abiezrites. Now it came to pass the same night that Adonai said to him, Take the young bull that belongs to your father and a second bull of 7 years old, pull down the altar of Baal that belongs to your father, cut down the Asherah that is beside it, build an altar to Adonai your God on the top of this stronghold in an orderly manner, and take the second bull and offer a burnt offering with the wood of the Asherah pole that you will cut down. So Gideon took 10 of his male servants and did as Adonai had spoken to him. But since he was too afraid of his father's household and the townspeople to do it by day, he did it at night. Now when the townspeople arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was broken down. The Asherah pole that was beside it was cut down, and the second bull was offered up on the altar that was built. So they said one to another, Who did this thing? And when they inquired and asked around, they said, Gideon, son of Joash, did this thing. Then the townspeople said to Joash, Bring out your son, that he may die, because he has broken down the altar of Baal, and even cut down the Asherah pole that was beside it. But Joash said to all who stood against him, So you are going to defend Baal? You are going to rescue him? Whoever defends him will be put to death. In the morning, if he is a god, let him defend himself, since someone has broken down his altar. So on that day he was called Jerubbaal, saying, Let Baal contend with him, since he broke down his altar. Now all the Midianites, the Amalekites, and the people of the east gathered together, crossed over and camped in the valley of Jezreel. But the Ruach Adonai closed Gideon, and he blew the shofar, and Abiezer rallied behind him. Then he sent messengers throughout Manasseh, and they all rallied behind him. Then he sent messengers to Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, and they came up to join them. Then Gideon said to God, If you are going to deliver Israel by my hand, as you have spoken, see, I am putting a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece, and all the ground is dry, then I will know that you deliver Israel by my hand, as you have spoken. And it was so. When he rose up early next day, he squeezed the fleece and wrung dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water. Then Gideon said to God, Let not your anger burn against me, if I speak once more. Let me please test once more with the fleece. Let it now be dry only on the fleece, but let there be a dew over all the ground. God did so that night, since it was dry only on the fleece, and there was dew over all the ground. Then Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and all the people who were with him, rose up early and camped beside En-Harod, while the camp of Midian was north of them, and Gibeath Moreh in the valley. But Adonai said to Gideon, Too many are the people who are with you, for me to give the Midianites into their hand. Otherwise Israel would glorify itself against me, saying, My own hand has delivered me. So now make proclamation in the ears of the people, saying, Whoever is afraid or anxious may turn back and leave from Mount Gilead. So 22,000 people turned back, while 10,000 remained. But Adonai said to Gideon, The people are still too many. Bring them down to the water, and I will test them for you there. Now it will be that he of whom I say to you, This will go with you, he will go with you. But anyone of whom I say to you, This one will not go with you, he will not go. So he brought the troops down to the water, and Adonai said to Gideon, You are to set apart everyone who laps the water with his tongue, as a dog laps, and everyone who bows down on his knees to drink. Now the number of those who lapped, putting their hand to their mouths, was 300 men, but all the rest of the people bowed down on their knees to drink water. Then Adonai said to Gideon, with the 300 men who lapped I will deliver you, and give the Midianites into your hand. So let all the other people go, every man to his place. So the 300 took provisions and the shofarot in their hands. He sent all the other men of Israel each to his tent, but he kept the 300 men. Now the camp of Midian was below him in the valley. It came to pass the same night that Adonai said to him, Arise, get down against the camp, for I have given it into your hand. But if you are afraid to go down, first go down to the camp with your attendant Purah. Then you will hear what they are saying, and after that your hands will be strengthening to attack the camp. So he went down with his attendant Purah to an outpost of the army that was in camp. Now the Midianites, the Amalekites, and all the people of the east were lying in the valley as numerous as locusts, and the camels were countless, as numerous as the sand on the seashore. Yet when Gideon came, behold, there was a man relating a dream to his fellow, saying, Listen, I just now had a dream. There was a loaf of barley bread that came tumbling into the camp of Midian, came up to a tent and struck it, so it fell, and turned it upside down, so that the tent lay flat. His companion answered and said, This is nothing less than the sword of Gideon, son of Joash, the man of Israel. God has delivered Midian and all the camp into his hand. Now when Gideon heard the account of the dream and its interpretation, he bowed and worshipped. Then he returned to the camp of Israel and said, Arise, for Adonai has given into your hand the camp of Midian. Then he divided the 300 men in 3 columns, and he put into the hands of all them shofarot and empty pitchers with torches inside the pitchers. Then he said to them, Watch me and do likewise. So behold, when I come to the outskirts of the camp, do just as I do. When I and all that are with me blow the shofar, then you also blow the shofarot all around the camp, and say, For Adonai and for Gideon. So Gideon and the 300 men who were with him came up to the uttermost part of the camp at the beginning of the middle watch, when they had just posted the watch. Then they blew the shofarot and smashed the pitchers that were in their hands. When the 3 columns blew the shofarot and broke the pitchers, they held the torches in their left hands and the shofarot in their right hands to blow, and they shouted, A sword for Adonai and for Gideon. Each one stood in his place around the camp, and then the entire army ran, shouting as they fled. Now, when they blew the 300 shofarot, Adonai set every man's sword against his fellow throughout the entire army. So the army fled as far as Beth-shittah toward Sererah, as far as the border of Abel Meholah by Tabat. The men of Israel were summoned from Naphtali, Asher, and all Manasseh, and they pursued Midian. Gideon sent messengers throughout all the hill country of Ephraim, saying, Come down against Midian and seize the waters down to Beth-barah, all along the Jordan. So all the men of Ephraim were summoned and took control of the water side as far as Beth-barah by the Jordan. Then they captured the two princes of Midian, Oreb and Zeb. They slew Oreb at the rock of Oreb, and they slew Zeb at the winepress of Zeb. They kept pursuing Midian, and they brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon from across the Jordan.